Welcome back to the channel. This is just another little update video because it's going to be a little while longer until I make my next video. My parts for the Grand Cherokee for the track bar, they didn't ship till yesterday, so if I'm lucky, they're coming from California. I doubt I'm getting it for the weekend. I hope so. I'll have to borrow a MIG welder to weld on my relocation bracket onto the axle. That I don't want to try to TIG it. My TIG welder's not big enough. It'd be easier to use a MIG. But that's not going to be here. I also ordered a hood scoop off of a Subaru because I want to put an intercooler. Anyone else that's new, this thing's supercharged, and the air temperature, it gets hot as hell. Like on a highway pole, if you're up a hill, it gets upwards about 200 degrees. It gets really hot. Now I don't have any signs of detonation, but I've got so much timing pulled out, or I wasn't very aggressive with timing, we'll say. I didn't really pull much out. I didn't push the limit just because of that. So I'm going to do a hood scoop. It's going to sit there. The intercooler is going to sit just under it, in between the blower and the throttle body. So that should help that out a lot. And I want to do its own video on that because I'm going to do some testing. We're going to see what kind of air temp we get going down the highway and under load, how long it takes to get that hot. Then we'll put the scoop on with no intercooler and see if that changes it at all. It should help under hood temperatures. I don't know if it's actually going to help air charge temp. You know, marginally, I'm sure, but enough to actually matter in case anyone else that has one of these. It's not that common, they intercool it. They usually just have the crossover pipe with the M90. So we're going to test that. We'll see how much it's worth to have a scoop. I mean, this is going to be shoving air in. You could have a cowl to pull air through it, but I think the scoop's going to be better. And then once I put an intercooler under it, that'll be even better than that. But it's only going to help on the road and on the highway, because when you're in a mud hole, if you're in the woods, you're not moving fast enough. So you could put fans on the intercooler, and I might do that, but it's in the woods. It's more electrical crap. There's more crap to fail, so I don't know how I feel about that. I think the intercooler by itself will help, even though you're not moving as fast. Just cool air going across it, also just to get the temperature out from under the hood. So that's coming too, but it won't be here till next week. So track bar may not be here. Scoop's not going to be here. I haven't even measured for an intercooler yet. So I've ordered some stuff from my Dakota. If anyone's not familiar with it, I've shown it a little bit, but not really driven or done anything. There are no videos on it at all, besides reference when I was doing the supercharger on this thing. But it's a 99 Dakota RT, and I modified the intake, and I put an M122 Eaton supercharger off of an '08 GT500 on it. And it's not intercooled too, but it's sitting just like a Roots. It's right in between the cylinder heads, right on the manifold. And it gets pretty damn hot too, but there was nothing wrong with it until I started borrowing parts. I borrowed the injector adapters off of this thing, or for this thing, and then I ended up just soldering in pigtails just to plug right in, no injector plug adapters. But then I lost one, so I couldn't put it back on the Dakota, so it's just been sitting. Nothing really wrong with it, just I stole some parts off of it. And then with the big block stuff, I stole that, and I stole that, the tensioner and a power steering pulley. So now I've got to replace those. But it's going to be a while on the big block stuff anyway. That's just a back burner project. Also, anyone not familiar with that, putting a 440 and a second gen Ram. I'm going to make it work off the factory fuel injection. I got emissions where I'm at, and I just think it'd be cool. Anybody can just throw a carburetor on there or aftermarket fuel injection, but I like the challenge of putting the factory stuff on it. And I tuned this thing with HP tuners. I tuned the Dakota with the big blower. It makes like 12 pounds of boost with HP tuners. None of them blown up yet, so I'm sure it'll be just fine with HP tuners. But so that's coming. At least my pigtails to replace the adapters that I lost will be here Saturday. So this weekend, my plan is if track bar comes in, that's priority. I want to do that first because this thing is scary. Lots of bump steer. So track bar if it gets here. Other than that, I'll be working on a Dakota, bringing it back to life, taking the parts I stole off of it, putting it back on it, and then we'll do some videos on that. because I'm also working on, most times when you have a roots on top of the intake, there's a water to air intercooler just under it. Now, I couldn't weld it in before. I probably could have, but the more I'm thinking about it, seeing other designs, I think I can do it now. I'm ready to do it, to make a pocket inside the intake manifold to hold the intercooler core, and also have to make a box inside of the intake manifold to contain it. You can't weld it in. The hot and cold, eventually it'll just crack and break. You can kind of silicone it in. It needs to be kind of tight tolerance and just glued in. That's how the factory ones do it. I don't know if they're epoxy or what they use, but it's not welded in. It's just sitting there contained. So I want to build one of those for that, because that's a 360. It's a 5.9 RT truck with 12 pounds of boost. It's pretty fast. It's fun. But on the highway, you can tell once temperature builds up so quick, you can feel it start falling off. And in a cold morning, like it's great. You can tell the power difference because of the heat. On this, I don't know that I could tell that much, because it's only 6 pounds of boost. It does get hot, but it's not as drastic as it is on that thing. But that's making way more boost. I think it's spinning the blower way faster too, even though it's a much larger blower. So that's what's coming. It's just been a while, and well, it's not been a while. It's been since like Friday night, maybe Thursday night. It's Friday, but it's gonna be Saturday, Sunday. It might be Monday before I put another one out. So I don't want to leave you guys hanging. I'm still working on things. Just gotta wait till the parts get here. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.